Yo, what's up, man? Oh, you want a full review? A full review on the Zenfone 2E? Oh, no, you want to know everything you need to know. Full in depth, in detail? All right, man, I got you. This is a full review on the Asus Zenfone 2E. All you need to know, everything you need to know right here. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the phone. You probably won't need to see any other video, and I'll have you on your way. Let's go. What is up, guys, and welcome to this episode of the Asus Zenfone 2E, everything you need to know in detail on the Asus Zenfone 2E. Now, because this review is going to be a little bit long because we're going to go over every aspect of this device right here, I want you to go ahead and check out the timestamp down below if you're the type of person who doesn't like to sit through a review. This way you can easily just go to the sections you care about most. I realize that we all don't have that much time. So anyway, let's kick off this review by getting to the first section of this review, which is going to be the build quality / the hardware tour of the device. All right, guys, let's kick off this hardware tour. So if you want to see the contents that come in the box, we're not going over that here in this review. You can go ahead and check out the unboxing video. I'll leave that link down below in the description for easy access. Also a card right here. And I'll also annotate it right here if you would like to see it on click right through to it on PC. So basically what we have here on the front is a 5-inch 1280 by 720 HD IPS display. And down here we have a back button, a home button, and a multitasking switch key. And up here we have a 2-megapixel front-facing camera. You're going to have your speaker grill right here, Asus branding. This is a Gorilla Glass 2 or 3, I believe. And then going up to the top, you're going to see that we have our power button, our 3.5mm headset jack, a mic right here. Going off to the bottom of the device, you're going to see that we have a micro USB port here and a microphone jack here. Now the back of the device is curved, so it contours to your hand. But you can see there's a little bit of curvature. You probably already noticed this. And there's a little curvature down here. So it does fit in the hand pretty nicely. On the back side, you're going to see this 8-megapixel camera, which does have autofocus, but no optical image stabilization. We wouldn't expect this for its affordable price. A flash right here, LED, not dual, just a single LED. Up and down volume buttons right here. AT&T branding, but I'm sure if you get a third-party back case, you can switch that out. Going to the bottom, you're going to see the Zenfone logo, and you're going to see these precision cut speaker grill right here. Now we're going to pop the back off, and it does feel like a polycarbonate feel. So if you're something used to the Lumia devices with those polycarbonate feels, it feels like that. It's a pretty sturdy plastic. It doesn't feel too cheap. On the inside, we're going to see that there is no NFC. This is just a rubber to keep the back safe. And you can see right here, this little black strip is blocking off part of it because the speaker only resides right here on the left of the device. So there is your speaker right here, non-removable battery. And it does say, I believe it says the battery outage right here is 5.2 volt, 1.35 amp. Also right here, you're going to see that we have a micro SD card slot right here for your SIM card slot. And you can also put a micro SD card slot right here. This was actually the SIM slot. This was the micro SD slot. Slipped up my words right there. But yeah, non-removable battery. I'll leave the size of the battery down below next to the battery timestamp. But yeah, you can see there's some screws in here. So, I mean, it's not the prettiest thing with the back off. But also Asus threw in a black case here, and this one feels a little bit more like a Moto G. So if you're used to a Moto G, that's kind of what this feels like. And let me just pop it on there to give you a look of what the black case looks like on the device. I think it looks a little sleeker with this black, but that's just my personal opinion. It matches. And also I wanted to mention that there is kind of a brushed aluminum metallic feel like down here under the home button. So you could see a brushed metallic feel right there. So that's pretty nice. Also, if you get really in detail right here, you're going to see that there's a brushed metallic look right on the power button. So there is quite a bit of attention to detail. And how's the build quality on this device? Well, I can tell you right now, feels pretty solid. There's no problem here on the build quality. This phone is rock solid. No problem there in terms of build quality. But is there other problems on the phone? let's find out about that in the next section. All right, guys, so for this next section, what we're going to do is we're going to check out the software on the device. And so you're going to want to power it on at the top, and we're going to unlock, and let me get back into the home screen. We're going to go down into settings, and you're going to see that we are running on here out of the box 5.0.1 Lollipop. So this is 5.0.1 Lollipop. So it is lagging behind. They're already on Marshmallow 6.0, but Lollipop has been the standard. Android's fragmentation makes it hard for, you know, phones to all get up to date, because there's so many Android phones that it's really hard for these manufacturers to, you know, stay on it. Because unlike Apple, where they have everything controlled down, Android manufacturers, they're also not just, you know, phone software technology makers. Like sometimes you got, like Samsung, for example, they make fridges, stoves, and all kinds of things. So they take a little bit longer to get to their software update. But if we hit AT&T software update and check for updates, you're going to see no update is available. So you are stuck on a little bit of an older Android version right here. Also, this is an Asus layer on top of here, Asus Zenfone UI, they call it. Basically, it's just Asus Zenfone launcher. You can get it in the Play Store if you want to put it on your device as well if you don't have an Asus. But there is a little bit more skinning going here on Asus Zenfone UI, like the notification drop down. But let's talk about the Asus features in this next section. All right, guys, so what kind of features does Asus throw on top? So basically they skin out the whole device, and you're going to see that you get a few little features here in the notification drawer, which I haven't found a way to customize or move these around. So if you found a way, go ahead and comment down below to help others out. But you have this notes application right up here, which basically allows you to take notes. And what's pretty cool is that I just found the way, I guess, to switch around the quick setting panel right there. Actually, that's exactly how you do it. Right here is where you're going to be able to go ahead and switch it around. So right here on the settings, not that settings, let's go back down and let's go here, and you're going to see that's where you can switch things around real quick. So yeah, there you go. You get all these quick settings right here. You get quick memo, screenshot, camera, audio wizard, mirror where you can look at yourself, all kinds of stuff, vivid mode for changing your screen quality and all kinds of things, glove mode. So basically Asus did pack a lot of features in here. Yeah, overall, how does the software perform though? And I'm gonna say that it performs good, but there's something about this device I just noticed that there is general sluggishness throughout the UI. Now, maybe because this is having a Intel Atom processor with only 1 GB of RAM. If we go into CPU-Z, we can confirm that this is having the Intel Atom processor right there, the Z2560 1.6 gigahertz. So for CPUs, it is a quad core, but they are, you know, it's not, I don't believe this is a 64-bit. So yeah, it says 800, 800, 800, 800. This may be a 32-bit. So yeah, overall, this is not the quickest device. And I've noticed, as you can see, total RAM only 968 megabytes. And that just ain't cutting it today with Android overall. Now, if you're not doing anything heavy, there's not really a big deal here. But one thing I noticed that is very annoying on this phone, if you go into settings and you scroll down into, let me see, storage, and I did not like this at all. If you see that total space 3.3 gigabytes out of 8 gigabytes, and I only put a few apps, and all I have left is 686 megabytes, which is like laughable almost. I mean, those are the kind of space you used to have on the first Android phones back in, what, 2008, 2009? But if you can see how much the system space the Zenfone UI takes up, it's quite ridiculous. 4.6 gigabytes, that is quite a bit. But this is an 8 gigabyte phone, which is why it's probably so cheap. But this is a very limiting experience software-wise in terms of what you can put on it. You can't really put much on it. This is pretty bad, like in terms of if you're the type of person who wants to throw on a bunch of apps, I cannot recommend this phone to you already just by if you're one of those people. So yeah, basically there is a few useful features like flashlight. Right here, they got their own custom gallery. They got their own custom audio wizard. But there is a bunch of AT&T bloatware, which you cannot disable, by the way. You can delete. You can only disable. So going into settings, you could see it is kind of customized white with like a colorful theme. But I did know one nice feature, or notice one nice feature I did like on this phone, and that's the screen color mode, where you can go ahead and fix up your screen to whichever temperature you want, like a warm color for reading, vivid if you're into Super AMOLED style, but this is not a Super AMOLED style, balance. And you could also customize it if you want it disgustingly blue, like totally blue, you know, or you want it like just like one of those weird hues where it's just like all red, like one of those weird colors. Just my perspective, you may love it like that, and cheers to you if you do. But basically that is the Asus features plus the software and what I think about it so far. So let's get into the next section of this full in-depth review. All right, guys, in this section, what we're going to talk about is my real-world usage case, and basically, how has the phone performed? Well, I've had the phone for about 6-7 days. You guys seen the unboxing a few days after I picked the device up, but I have had the device for about 6 days already, 7 days, and I can tell you overall, it's pretty sluggish overall. Now, this is not sluggish if you're coming from a really crappy Android phone, like a phone that had like a dual core processor and like 500 megabytes of RAM. This will probably feel pretty quick. But for anybody who's used to at least a decently spec'd Android smartphone today, like a Moto G or a ZTE Z Max 2 or a, let's see, I would say even the Lumia 640 or any of the, you know, top tier budget phones, this thing has a general sluggishness to it. Now, the launcher itself is fine. There's nothing wrong here. But what I mean by general sluggishness is web pages, they take a while to load up. When you're like taking pictures, there's a little bit of a delay on the picture side, but we'll get more into that in the camera section. There's just like these little minor hiccups that's just generally found throughout the device, which has been very annoying. And annoying in the sense of they add up over time. So like, let's say you have several, you know, hiccups here and there. If you add all those hiccups up over the course of your week, your work week, this phone is just going to get on your nerves, because it seems that a phone that hiccups usually hiccups right when you don't want it to hiccup. And this phone even hiccups when you don't care if it hiccups. That's how much it hiccups. So I'm going to stop saying hiccups, but it hiccups quite a bit. So yeah, overall, my real world usage case, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's not terrible. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it sucks and, you know, you can't live with it. It's definitely livable, but it's just kind of annoying if you're used to a more mid-range or even a solid budget phone or even a high-end phone. There's no comparison, but like I say, it hangs and freezes here and there once in a while, and that is just not acceptable here in 2016, I believe. Even if you're spending 55 bucks for the phone, it's still not acceptable, because you can spend 55 bucks and go, you know, sign a contract or buy a used phone on the eBay for 55 bucks. It'll smoke this thing. So basically, yes, that's my real world usage case. All right, guys. Well, in this section, what we're going to talk about is the camera. So let's hop right into the camera and let's check it out. So basically on the camera side, I did like this about the device. I like the way the camera's set up. I think it's very simple to use, and it does have quite a bit of features. And you can throw in a 64 gigabyte micro SD card, so you can take quite a bit of pictures on this device, no problem. You're just gonna have a little bit of trouble if you want to put a whole bunch of apps on this phone. That's where you're gonna have your trouble. Not with music and pictures, because you can just throw those on the SD card. And apps are movable to the SD card, but the cache buildup still goes onto the phone, so it still kind of makes up for it. But basically over here on your left-hand side, you're going to see you have a flash, really easy to get to. You can flip over to the front, and you could see that I'm right there. Hello, guys. And you could go switch back around, and you can see right here we have all these simple to use features. Big, nice square icons: romantic, snow, hue, Lomo, grayscale, pencil, edutech, cartoon, sepia, negative, pixelized, vintage. And there's just so much more. If you go into settings, you could change your white balance, your ISO, exposure value, optimization, the size of the picture. You can have an anti-shake enhancement, like digital stabilization, not optical image stabilization. Touch stutter, basically shuttering, blah, you know, touch shutter, so you could see like that, and it'll shutter real quick. But basically, if we scroll down past here, you're going to see we have the burst mode, which is quick photos. You also have touch exposure. There's just so much. I don't want to talk about all of it. We'll be here all day, but there's just so much here for you guys to play around with. And the modes is what's really cool. They have these simple to use modes. Looks a little bit similar to like an LG's UI. I think back to like the LG G2 with this UI. Auto, time rewind, HDR, panorama. Thinking about the Porsche. You know, the Porsche boys. Night, low light, selfie, beautification, miniature, depth and field, smart remote, all smiles, and GIF animation. But anyways, how are the pictures? Well, let's find out right here and look at these photo samples and video samples right now. Alright guys, this is a test of the front-facing video camera on the Asus Zenfone 2E. As you can see, we're down here at Lake Michigan, Chicago, and this is direct sunlight. Beautiful day out here, so this should be the best quality you're going to get on this camera from the front. Now we're going to flip it over to the back. Alright guys, this is a back-facing video, 1920 by 1080. Looks a little choppy on my end. Let me know what you guys think. But overall, this is going to be the video sample of the back camera on the Asus Zenfone 2E. Alright guys, let's talk about the speaker quality. Basically, I haven't had any issues with talking to people on the phone. And this speaker sounds pretty good talking to people on the phone. No problems there. And callers said they heard me just fine, so no problems on the phone aspect. But the speaker on the back is a little bit tinny. It's not the best in the world, but it's also not terrible. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of a sound bite here. So let's go into YouTube if it's available. Oh, they got it in this Google folder right here. Let's go into YouTube and watch one of my videos. Maybe we'll watch one of these recent videos I just did. So let's go to my videos real quick and let's watch the Zenfone 2 versus the Lumia 640. As you can see, you can already hear some audio. So if you cup it, you get a little bit better audio. Alright guys, so let's kick off this review by just quickly starting with the boot up test. So basically that should have showed you a little bit of what the speaker quality is going to sound like. Now beware, I am using a Blue Snowball microphone, so it might sound a little better on the video than it does in real life. But overall, it's not a problem. I think you'll enjoy the speaker quality on the Asus Zenfone 2E. Alright guys, so how is gaming on the device? And I only downloaded a couple games because I was running out of space. So let's go into Temple Run. And I found that the games take quite a bit of time to load, but I didn't find no hiccups here and there. There wasn't too much hiccups. Frame rates drop a little bit more than other devices I've seen, but as you can see right there, there was a little bit of a stutter. But basically, let's play a little bit of Temple Run. And you could see, I don't know if you could see in the video, but there is a little bit of a frame rate drop. It's not super buttery smooth, so, but overall, it'll play a game and you can enjoy your little games here and there. But you can't hold many, so don't be thinking you could put a bunch of games on this phone because you can't. Let's play a little bit more of an intensive game. Let's play Dead Trigger real quick. And we'll come back when this loads up because this game takes quite a bit to load up. Alright guys, so the game is loaded up. Let's hit play. And let's see how the Dead Trigger plays on this device. Now, Dead Trigger is very optimized. The developers have went through a lot of updates to make this game optimized for a lot of devices. So this is not a game that stutters too much on any device, but it does require some graphical prowess due to the fact that there is quite a bit of graphics here. So let's see how this plays. And already off the bat, I can tell you that it's pretty smooth, but it just doesn't feel buttery smooth. Like that little blow up right there just stuttered just a bit. As you can see, there's just a little bit of stutter here. It's just not buttery smooth. It's not terrible though. Like I say, that's the mantra of this device. It's not a terrible device. It's just not very buttery smooth. And that's kind of what we're used to here in 2016. So that was a little look at the gaming. Also, you could play Candy Crush, but we're not going to play that right now. We might get addicted if we start playing some Candy Crush. So let's get into the next section of this full in-depth review. Alright guys, so how about the battery life? And I know you guys always want to know about battery life, and I can tell you the battery life is very solid on this phone because it has a 720p screen and a pretty big battery in the back. Like I said, I think it's 2500 milliamps, but I'll leave the total amount of battery power in the description. But basically, I have found that it gets me through the day pretty easily. I know you want to know how long does the thing take to charge, and it takes about, from my experience, maybe, let's see, 100 minutes, which is a little bit over an hour and a half to 2.5 hours to charge. So it's not ridiculously long, but it does take quite a bit of time. But overall, the battery life is pretty good. I don't think you're gonna have a problem with it. If you are taxing the phone, like playing games, watching videos, I do notice it does go down a bit quicker than other phones. But if you just, do a little, things here and there, put it in your pocket, go to work, or put it in your pocket, go to the skate park, put it in your pocket, go do whatever you love to do and keep your eyeballs on the road and not on the phone, I think that your battery life would be just fine here. So battery life overall is a win. But before we mention get into the next section, I wanted to talk a little bit about this multitasking. You'll notice if we have a lot of apps open, I don't know if you could see that, but there's just a little bit of a delay here on the apps in the multitasking, and they have to reopen quite a bit. So they're not always like, the RAM management is not the best on this device either, but you do have a task manager here to go ahead and close things out and see all your running services and see how much RAM is being used of a little bit that you do have. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to mention, but you can clear all of them like that, which is a nice touch. So let's get into the next section of this full review, guys. All right, guys, so my favorite part of the review, what are my overall impressions? Now, basically, here's where I want to tell you the story, what happened. Went into Best Buy, sales consultant was walking me over to pick up this device, and I asked him where it was, and I was like, can I get the Asus Zenfone 2E? And there's a customer next to me who actually owns the device. And he's like, which one? This one? And he had a black case on it. And what I wanted to mention is it's hard to get cases for this phone. So you might have to go ahead and go into the AT&T store to get this. They're not going to be in those little kiosks in your mall, your local mall or whatever. So basically, what's the story behind what he said? So I asked him a few questions. I said, how's the device for you? He's like, I barely use smartphones. I was using a little flip phone. And basically, he said that it gets the job done for him. He's not really heavy on the tech game. And yeah, so it could work for that customer. Now, I know for some of you that are rocking like the devices like the Moto G or the Moto E, some of those actually perform quite a bit better than this device. You might not like this device at all. And my overall impressions are, if you're a person who doesn't really care too much about installing a bunch of apps, you can live with only a few. Like, you only need a few apps, and you're not really on your phone all the time, and you just need a smartphone for a few tasks here and there, this phone could work out just fine for you. But if you're somebody who's really invested in the tech game and you really love Android, or you're attached to your smartphone, this phone is not going to do it for you. I'm sorry. I usually recommend all devices because most of the devices I review are pretty good devices and they're recommendable, but it's been a while that I came across one that I can't recommend, and this one just is it. I just can't recommend this device unless you fit into that category that I said earlier, which I don't think many people fit into. For me, it does perform okay, and like I do like the way it looks. Like, I think the Asus Zenfone UI does look pretty clean, and the design of this phone is beautiful. Like, I think it's pretty beautiful design overall. Like, the hardware, no problem, but software is where it's at, and this is why Apple sells so many iPhones, in my opinion. But overall, the sluggishness, the screen doesn't get too bright outdoors. It's just kind of muted in colors. It doesn't pop out enough, in my opinion, and it's not up to par with what I like as a tech reviewer, and as me, I just don't, I just can't do this phone. I don't know about y'all, but overall, battery life is solid. I don't know what much more to say. Like, this could be a phone I would throw on the side and use it as an FM radio or a picture taker. But even for $55, I wouldn't drop it on it. So that's my overall impressions of the Asus Zenfone 2E. Now, I would say, if you do like Asus, go ahead and get the Zenfone 2, the actual Zenfone 2, not the 2E, which you could say stands for 2E, too economical. This may be a little bit too economical, actually. It's a little bit comical as well. But basically, yeah, is it worth it? Nah, it's not worth it. Pass on this one. But that's just my overall take. Anyway, guys, this has been the full in-depth review of the Asus Zenfone 2E. AT&T GoPhone. Although this does come in locked, like I say, if you just need a cheap smartphone for little basic tasks, I recommend it. But if you're anything like me and you love technology, pass on it. And I usually don't say that, but this one I have to give it a pass. And it is going back to the store and I'm getting my money back. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, hit that thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel for more technology videos. Follow me on Twitter. I'll leave the link down below in the description. I post when I'm going to put reviews up before they even come up. So if you're just scrolling down your Twitter feed, you'll see like, oh, Nick's about to post a review. Everything Tech's about to post a review. I got to watch that later on tonight. Eat some popcorn. But yeah, anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps it up. I'll shut up now and you guys can get on your way. Thanks for sticking around. Be well and peace.